Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for your patience and your time. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And at this time, if you're able, please rise and join us for a pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go to 1.03, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, chair votes aye as well. Motion passes. And before we introduce our student board member, for the record, I want to make sure that we recognize that our 7th board member, Teresa Dastrup, is joining us remotely this evening. And Teresa, I will do my darndest to give you time to respond before I move too fast.
Thanks, Matt.
With this, you're welcome. Thank you. At this time, we'll go to 1.04, introduction of our Elko County School District Student Board Member, Skylar Lay. Is it Lay? Great.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I've got a little here to read about you, so we can get to know you a little bit. Skylar Lay is a senior at Spring Creek High School with a 3.8 cumulative GPA. She currently is a Spring Creek High School Student Council class treasurer. She is also involved in National Honor Society and has received an academic letter at Spring Creek High School. Her future plans are to attend Boise State University and get a degree in construction management. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome. Thank you. And as we're discussing things, if there's anything that you'd like to add, please feel free to do so. All righty, 1.05 is input from the public. Seeing none, we're going to move right ahead. And let's go into 2.01, which is receipt, review, and possible approval of requests for purchase of retirement service credit. This is for possible action. I have a request for public comment from Mr. Terrace. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. You're welcome. Mr. Anderson, Mr. Krinka, anybody want to add anything? The board has the information. Any discussion from the board? How would the board like to proceed? We're being a bit shy this evening. Go ahead, Teresa.
I move to approve the top 2 categories.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and 2 seconds. Bear with me 1 second because I know that Cassie can take notes after. However, we don't have somebody taking notes right now. Jeff, I'm going to give you the second. Further discussion on the motion on the table to accept the top 2 categories.
What's the total on that?
I can give you that information here in just a second.
Yes, estimated savings. Yeah, it's 166,631.
And do we have contingency funds for buyout? Yes.
We're getting a nod that says yes.
Yes, okay.
You said 168,846?
166.
Okay. Okay. Actually, no. Sorry. I know that what you guys are looking at, that number is the savings from the rollout. That comes from, so that's in addition to the other amounts in there. So what I did is take the dollar amount at the bottom, 226,375, subtracted out the savings that would occur from that 3rd category of 57,000 or 57,889. Yeah, so 168,846 is what I had.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What was that?
Total savings would be 168,846.
What's the total cost associated with it? Do we have that?
We do. It's going to take just a minute.
Hey, we've got an Excel product up, so.
Around 5. Around 500.
490. Okay, $490,715.
But it's my understanding that the cost, the savings is after you've accounted for the cost. So you're not,
Savings is one, I'm so sorry, I missed half of that. I don't know why I can't hear. What was it? What did you say? The savings is not,
yeah, so the cost to buy him out, the total that he said for savings, that is even after you've bought them out. That's what you're saving.
To be clear, the savings is, so whatever, I'm just gonna say 490, because I know it's not that number, but you spend 490 now. And then next year you hire new people who cost less than the people that you bought out. And then the projected savings is calculated over the course of 2 years. So it's the savings is what you are saving and how much those people cost versus how much new people cost. Or
established people.
yeah, and it's it's projected over the course of the 2 years. It's important, we say this every year, and it's important to say now, this is not deterministic. This is estimate of what it would be based on, based upon teacher replacement salaries at the beginning. It says it at the bottom in 2 asterisks. At the beginning of the salary of teachers hired for the 24-25 school year, and it says what that is per person. So that's how it's calculated. And it's estimated over the course of the next 2 years. That's what the savings would be.
And to Josh's point, basically, we would write a check for $490,715 to PERS.
Yes, immediately.
That's what I was understanding your question to be.
That was my question.
Okay.
And then those are pulled, so that's that's pulled out of general fund. That's what we've always been told. But is there like, what are we pulling them off of then? Where are we getting those funds other than just general fund? Is there some way that we can know otherwise?
It's from, sorry, are you asking like, does it come
Well, I
from
mean, like
something other
general
than
fund, I
general?
mean, general fund it technically is like our slush fund. So I'm just wondering where we're getting this. You know, a couple months ago, we were in danger of not meeting our obligations as far as how much reserve we have. I'm just wondering where we're getting these, where we're getting the funds now.
It's contingency funds that I would not say it's budgeted, but it's taken into consideration that this is a possibility.
Okay.
And so,
I just want to throw out a couple things before the board makes a decision. Just so everyone's aware, I've said this to a couple folks and got surprised looks. We do have the potential for reduction of federal funds if we're not paying attention to the federal atmosphere currently. That is something they're looking at the federal levels, changing the Department of Education. We have the potential of school choice in our state and federal has been put on the table as well. So that would change the way that our funds are. As funds go, they follow the student. We also have a new school opening, which means that we will have a reduction of funds. And then we have an issue with schools not having appropriately AC. And so I just want to make sure everyone understands that as we take this from contingency, that we know that we are shifting funds to a different area. So I just want to make sure that's all on the table and everyone understands that with the approval of this, it's $500,000 that's going out. And while I appreciate what the administrators and teachers have done for the district, we still have a budget as soon as they're gone to deal with too. So that's it.
Thank you, Dr. Byers. Any other comments?
Yeah, I would just like some clarification. So I didn't know how to explain what I was saying. So we're not going to write a check for 400 and some odd thousand just to save, because it wouldn't make any sense to save 168,000. Pay that much to save 168,000.
We are.
That's what
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, Is the savings even after, so does
Correct.
the savings account for the money plus the hiring teachers and we're still saving this amount? So
Correct.
in the long run, over the next 2 years, we are saving money, even though we're spending it now, we're saving money in the long run.
Correct. Instead of paying our teachers and administrators, et cetera, we're paying PERS in advance. And then those positions are backfilled. Those people are getting paid less. And so because of that, that's where those savings are being generated. Is that, okay? Does that help? Is that,
Still saving. So if an administrator were to leave, obviously the new administrator that was coming in is going to be paid at a lower amount. And then we take the average teacher wage. Filling somebody through the ARL, have a new teacher coming. Make it lower.
So you take all the money that you're saving because they're being paid a lower rate. And then you're taking out the 400 and whatever thousand from that
So we could
to
say the
still get, and that's where the
490,000.
168,000 comes from?
So
Okay.
right now, we can pay the 490. Or else we can. PERS increase, et cetera.
Okay,
Do you get it?
yes.
We're spending
I just wanna-
$500,000 to save $166,000 over 2 years.
See, I'm understanding that differently. That's what I'm trying to explain to you is I'm understanding it differently, that even by spending the money and then hiring a teacher that makes less money than that, you're still saving money. We're not
I don't
spending
think-
it,
I don't think Josh is refuting that money would be saved. I think he's saying
I'm
that
saying
a
your
$500,000
ratios are
out
off.
the door now is a primary concern.
I'm telling you, if you're in my office and you come to me and you say, hey, spend this $500,000, you'll save $160,000. I'm going to tell you no. That's what I'm saying.
so if it helps any, the current salary is roughly 100 or 1.4 million. So we're really spending 500,000 to eliminate 1.4 million in salary.
So so what we're paying in retirement then, is it calculated in this too then? So what we're paying in the retirement for these folks this year is calculated on this.
As part of the benefits.
So then why doesn't it say that we're saving $1 million then?
We're not. We're going to be paying somebody either way, whether
I
it's
totally
these
get it.
people in place or whether it's new people. The cost difference is $180,000.
So we're going to be spending
If we let them go
$1.3
now.
million then? So we're going to still be paying $1.3 million then?
We're going to be paying, if we do this, we're going to pay 180 less over 2 years.
Yeah, so we're still going to spend 1.3. You're saying it's 1.5 now. And everything's calculated in it. We're going to save 160. So then we're still going to pay 1.3.
Instead of 1.5.
The only way to save 1 point whatever is to
Not
not hire
hire.
anybody else.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure
fill
that the
these
misnomer
spots.
on the table currently is not held up either, because that's not true. That we're saving, that we were at 1.4. That's just that you're using ratios. Like we're still paying 1.3 regardless.
Well, to be clear, we're going to be replacing people in all of these positions, correct?
We,
If
yes.
these retire for whatever reason, if these
Sure.
folks disappear, it's not going to stay empty. We're going to be paying somebody regardless.
For sure.
Yep.
So by doing this, we will pay $180,000 less over a 2-year period. Which to me, I mean, if you look at return on interest, for example, yeah, we're spending 500 upfront, but over that 2-year period, which is money regardless of what money's coming in and how our finances change, these positions we're going to be paying either way. So you're going to get a better return on investment. That 500 is better than, say, if you invested in a CD or something like that instead. I get it. The math works for me.
Further discussion? All right, before we vote, to our staff, thank you. Regardless of which way this goes, we appreciate your time. We appreciate what you've done. This is not to say we don't appreciate you, get out the door, or we don't appreciate you. Nope, we're going to reject this. So just wanted to say thank you very much for the years that you have dedicated to us. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Teresa, I apologize. I didn't give you enough time.
I voted in favor.
Great, thank you. Chair votes aye as well. Motion passes. Mr. Terrace, would you like to address the board?
Agenda. Joy working for Elko County is I've made a lot of friends along the way. I've met a lot of students along the ways, and it's been a joy. And thank you very much. And it's going to be bittersweet leaving. The classroom has been a lot of fun, but I'm also looking forward to new adventures. I really am. So I'll see you at different board meetings, at home people and so forth. So thank you once again for considering that stuff. I
Thank
sure
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we will move along then. If I can find which of my 7 tabs that I had open has the agenda on it. 2.02 is receipt, review, and possible approval of a transfer report as outlined in NRS 354.598005. Procedures and requirements for augmenting or amending the budget. This is for possible action. Mrs. Stalkey, do you want to address this? Mr. Anderson? All righty.
Okay, sorry. This has been on the agenda before, but I don't know what format my predecessors have done. So you know that in December and in June, we augment the budget. When you augment the budget, that's either to increase or decrease the amount of the funds. At any point of time, we can do fund transfer or budget transfers to the different functions. So function 100 or 1000 is instruction, 2700 is for transportation. Only I have the power to do those transfers, but I also have to get approval from the board as well. So that's where I've brought the report in for all the transfers. And going forward, I most likely will be bringing it monthly. So
So I'm confused. What are we approving? These have already been done, correct?
correct.
Okay, and so I'm confused as to,
So in the NRS, it says that I have the ability to transfer,
okay.
but then it has to be approved by the board meeting. So I do have the authority to make the transfers to do the purchase, but you guys have to see it.
So again, because it's new, I feel like it's new for me and I don't know. Then what would happen if we just said no? What if we just said no to it? So then what happens at that point? Do we know?
Then I guess we would go back and reverse all those transfers, and then we would have deficit budgets, and then it would be RS violation, and then it would be an audit violation. So more so it's just a control at that point, so you guys can see that obviously funds aren't going into different functions. I'm not transferring $1 million into, guidance services from instruction. Just another balance and check, so.
Perfect.
Kelsey, I apologize.
No, you're good.
If I'm reading this correctly, NRS 354.598005, section 5, subsection B, subsection 1, says the governing board is advised of the action. I wish I would have been paying a little bit more attention, and I apologize for not doing so. I don't understand why this is for possible action. You're advising us.
Yep.
We don't have under this, it doesn't say approval of, just says advisement of.
I believe underneath there that it has to go into the minutes.
Correct. But as long as we're recording that you've advised us, I'm pretty sure we're good.
That's fine.
Are you suggesting we do it in consent agenda next time?
Yes.
I think a consent agenda would be fine. If we can just confirm that my understanding of this and as a layman is going to pass muster with our legal advice, our legal counsel, that'd be great. The only other request that I would have, thank you for the report. Lots of numbers.
Yes, and
And-
our reporting system is not friendly.
Yep.
So hope.
I
don't
know
have to
that
alter it.
previously, I believe when I had spoken to your predecessor, a lot of this is, if we could maybe get just a simple breakdown of 0.100 means elementary education, 0.200
Just
means
like a chart.
a chart of accounts, but we don't need to necessarily go out to the 10 millionth decimal place, if that is helpful.
Yep, I can do
Okay.
that on a cover page for it.
Awesome.
I do agree with you on what you're saying here is that as long as we're advised and it's recorded in the minutes, doesn't require approval, she has that authority.
Okay.
Regards to having an item like this on the consent agenda, it doesn't like, it won't specify such an consent.
Good point. It's a, yeah,
One item.
it's a bucket item.
So when I was speaking with Cassie, we kind of decided that we needed it to say, this is approved, seconded by. I don't know if you feel differently about that, but just to keep that in mind about having an item like this on the consent agenda.
This has already gone through legal once, and it's been suggested as a possible action. We can take action this evening if there's no objection to that. And then we'll get clarification for next month. Perhaps we drop it at the end of the action items 2.0, whatever, 5, 6, 7, 8, as one of our, where the quarterly reports often are. And you can just simply advise us and we can go from there. And that way, at least it's broken out as an advisement.
Okay.
So we'll get more
That works.
there. So with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the presentation from Mrs. Stolke.
I've got one for you. I'll move that we acknowledge that we've been advised of the action and move that the action will be recorded in the minutes.
But then that isn't our item. right?
So let's see if there's a second first. Okay, dies for lack of second. So let's try that again. Perhaps because Susan, I understand what you're saying. The item states possible approval of a transfer report as outlined. So if you perhaps were to change that motion, Jeff, to say you're acknowledging.
Let someone else do it.
Okay,
Okay, then I move to approve the transfer report as outlined in NRS 354.598005, procedures and requirements for augmenting or amending budget.
okay, there's a second on that one. Any further discussion? All righty, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Motion passes. Thank you all. 2.03 is receipt, review, and possible conditional acceptance of the bid for the new Owyhee Combined School Project, Owyhee, Nevada, submitted by MGM Construction Incorporated, and conditional award of contract to that bidder. This is for possible action. Mr. Stolke.
Evening.
And while you are preparing, just to let folks know, Senator Hansen, I'm aware that you have a comment that you'd like to make. Chair Mason, I see you on the screen, and I understand that you have comment to make as well. And Mr. Adler, we will hear from you as well here in just a moment. Go ahead, Mr. Stolke.
Yeah, so we received a qualifying bid of $63,374,000 for the Owyhee project.
Thank you, sir. Does the board want to make any discussion first, or would you like to hear from those that want to address the board?
I'd like to hear from the people.
All right. Typically, under public comment, we limit this to 3 minutes. No offense to those that are on the screen, but let's do 5 minutes. Hear what you have to say. If you can keep your remarks within those 5 minutes, I'd greatly appreciate it. Senator Hansen, I have you on the top of the stack, so I'll turn to you first.
Briefly, Will Adler here for the record. I think Senator Hansen may be viewing it on the YouTube channel live, but he is in the middle of the legislature. It did kick off yesterday, so I'm not sure if he was able to actually call in directly, but he did want to be able to participate, but he might not be zoomed in at this moment.
Okay, if
But
he comes in, we'll go ahead and yield at that point. Then Chair Mason, I'll have you address the board next, if you don't mind.
Sure. Can anybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, before you vote on this, I just want to remind anybody that, number one, after an extensive effort that took the Shoshone-Paiute Business Council to New York, the United Nations, to Washington, D.C., to advocate for funding for this, we took it to the Nevada State Capitol, Carson City. And I think that's what's lost in everything is through those efforts, the tribe actually, brought the district a gift. And so before you vote on this was a gift that, was not expected. And you're welcome, but yes, you have it. And so AB 519 was passed into law. And, through all of those discussions that we traveled to Washington, D.C. and New York in the United Nations, we found out that we were not remote, that we're actually referred to as frontier. So that's some of the problems and the issues, with the bidding. But, from what I understand, MGM came in and it's a good bid and it's something that we can do. And once again, just reminding of all the effort that the tribe has done, so we didn't take this lightly. This doesn't happen to a tribe, right? And so, immediately we went out and we did all the initial dirt work that's going to be required for the school. We contracted, and this is on our, and we're in a non-revenue tribe. So we're way broker than the school district is, and the state and everybody else. We're the poorest of poor. However, we were able to get enough money and bargain and contracted with the power company to get power to the front door. That's already happening. And I've got a project manager that's sitting there in attendance who's got, extensive numbers. I hope that he brought, but his name is Mr. Jesse Jones. And, I told him, you need to get to work because this is your path to heaven. And so he took it serious. We also got, we put $800,000 into all the initial studies. That's the bugs and bunnies, the stones and bones, and all the endangered species stuff. So all those studies we've done, we contracted, we paid for already. We worked with, our IT department and the great stuff that she does. And she's got fiber optics to the front door of the school. It's not there yet, obviously, but it's on the way. And, before I message Jesse Jones, I'll mention him again, through, his project management, we were able to get $2.5 million to move the road in and the egress out for the school. I mean, that's off of 225. We had originally planned to do it one way, and they said we were in violation of a bunch of codes. So we had to do all that research and find another entrance, which we've done. And we've got design in, and we've got all that stuff ready to go, and that's about $2.5 million. Then we also purchased 10 tiny homes, and that was about $1 million spend, and that was all cash capital. We knew that to get somebody to come out to work in Owyhee, we're going to have to get housing. So we got the starting, 10 tiny homes is about 20 people, but it's a start. And so they're brand new, haven't been lived in yet. We're getting ready to sink them into the ground for those contractors to come in and actually have someplace to stay, so there isn't this cost to the contractor for travel. We have a local gravel pit. That gravel haul is 20,000 cubic yards of gravel. I don't know how many are familiar with the hauling of gravel and the cost of that, but that's in the millions. Well, we've got a gravel pit right there that we've waived the tribal fee, which is about $400,000 on that cost. We've partnered with Nevada Gold Mines to get a crusher. We're waiting on the decision on that, but it sounds like we're going to get a crusher to crush the rock, to get all the gravel prepared. We're going to get it hauled to the site and have it ready for the contractor to come in. It's going to save him millions of bucks. At the end of the day, it's probably going to go into the contractor's pocket. I just want you to be aware that the tribe is not sat on its ass and watch this thing progress. We've done everything we can, to get this thing going and get this ready. For us, this is our dream. please vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Mason. Mr. Adler.
If it would be appropriate, I do know that maybe the principal of the school and the gentleman mentioned Jesse maybe in the room today that could share some more on the ground details about the efforts that the chairman spoke to. And then maybe I could speak in summation after that and or do a little Q&A if there are questions about the comments made, if that works.
Sounds good. Mr. Jones, do you want to come up?
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you. So, like Chairman Mason stated, he listed out some of our costs. I just have the hard numbers. So our costs paid to date is about 1.5 million. Our anticipated costs are roughly 3.4 million. And that includes the land survey, the planning, the engineering work, environmental assessment expenses, and then the 10 tiny homes, as well as a gravel crusher, and it's 24,000 cubic yards of gravel. Traffic control, retaining wall, landscape boulders, and then labor costs. It brings us to 5.9 million so far in our known costs anyway. And that's all I had.
Yes, Ma'am, John.
Good evening. So while I don't have the hard numbers, I do carry the spirit of the school, student, staff, community, and just stressing to you the need that we have. And, just this past weekend, we had a terrible windstorm in our community and it knocked out more windows. We have doors that don't close. We have heating systems that, though they've been partially repaired, have since left big pockets of gravel yet to be covered in asphalt in our parking lots. We had to move games from our building to our community center. We lost heat during one of our games a couple of weekends ago and had to distribute hand warmers and gloves to the referees. We have continuing issues in our building, and that is not to mention the hydrocarbon plume, the proximity to the highway, and just some of our challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis in an 80-plus-year-old school. Everybody is incredibly enthused about the possibility, but the decision lies with this board. And my allegiance to my tribe and my responsibility as the building principal that serves this board they're tethered. They're tethered. So I see the fiscal responsibility part in being proper stewards of the state's money, but it is for a good cause. The governor has laid his hand to this effort. The chairman of the financial committee, Danielle Monroe Moreno, as well as countless others, all but one in the combined Senate and Assembly voted for this bill. So with that, I carry the spirit of my community, my students, present and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Adler, would you like to follow that up?
For the record, no, I would not like to follow that up. That was great. But I will do my best. Thank you, guys. I am Will Adler, for the record. I am the principal of Silver State Government Relations, and I'll maybe go over the whole of the Owyhee School soup to nuts a little bit, and then get us to today, as it were. I fielded a few questions about this school today, in fact, and I actually was sitting with the governor today, and he, directly asked me about the school. So I've been versed on a lot of the history recently, but so everyone's aware, I actually was contacted by Duck Valley's representatives last February, or last legislative February, so 2 years ago, 2023. But I too was baffled at the conundrum when it came to the Owyhee school. They actually had identified that their entire water supply for the school had been contaminated with hydrocarbons, that we had a continual issue out there. And I had a great smile on my face because I said, man, I hate Bureau of Indian Education too. I'm going to go right at them. And it's not a Bureau of Indian Education school. I was shocked because it is in the heart of Duck Valley. Owyhee is central to the reservation, and it is a very old school. So my impression was it was a federal school to begin with, right? And that's when I had to be versed with the whole history of the project. It was a Bureau of Indian Education school. It was actually transferred to BIA, and then it was transferred to the state via the boarding school process, and then its transfer for the tribe going sovereign many, many years ago. So this was, again, over a 70-year history that all of a sudden came to the Nevada legislature in 2023. But to state their efforts as noble is maybe understating it, but the Nevada legislature and Governor Lombardo took this on as a personal challenge even. They said, yes, there is a lot of hair on this dog, but we will shave it. And they did. But that was the results of AB 519. It wasn't the original bill vessel we started with, but is the bill we ended up with because we went down to it. We asked Elko School District, what is the most recent school you built? And then we added 38% to that school budget because that was the closest we could do to quantifying what it would cost to build a school out in Owyhee. That number came out to $64.5 million. And as they say in the legislature, if you have any amount of money, take it. So we took that number without arguing too much, but at the time we did know this number could be a little bit above $64.5 million to build a school on site at Duck Valley because the logistic realities of being 2 hours north of Elko are going to catch up to you. But that is somewhat built into the bill. There is a mechanism in the account that does allow rural school districts to credit money for a $25 million account for rural school districts. But as the chair kind of mentioned, there is a separate account of also another $25 million for tribal related school projects. This bill was put together because it had to be put together in 2023, but it has a co-funding mechanism with Elko County and the school district, but it allows for the raising of funds and the deploying of funds for either rural school district needs or tribal school specific needs. But there are two piles of money there, $50 million total, because the state of Nevada said we want to acknowledge the lack of funding for school infrastructure in rural Nevada, not just tribal schools. So there's a lot there, but in the total of this, I'm actually kind of proud of MGM who completed the bid today because this was not an easy bid to qualify for, and with the extra add-ons to the bid, it is a little bit over the $64.5 million, but this was really a very difficult bid to land. We did have two bid processes for it, but the assurity of the building today, the legislature started Monday, so 2 days into it. I've done the rounds and I've met with the governor is they want to see the school built. There's some understanding that there's money set aside. There's mechanisms to activate that money, and there's some flexibility about needing to access that money. But I'm here as Duck Valley's representative. I'm still their representative, and I will continue to be so in the future, definitely until this school is built. But we are here to say that we have penned letters and reached out to Governor Little's office. We plan on reaching out to Idaho for their commitments. They did show up with some nice National Guard and some helicopters for the groundbreaking, but we do plan on saying, some of those students are Idaho students too. But one way or the other, we are committing to you guys, if we're going for this school today, this school will be built over my dead body. Will Adler can say that because for the record, it's my dead body, not Chair Mason's. But I do think that is what's in front of you guys today is the culmination of a couple of years of effort, but the recognition of the need for a school out there in Owyhee, and the Nevada legislature has stepped up, and I think through the chair's previously stated efforts and our continued efforts to reach out to charitable partners, volunteer partners, and everyone else, we are very confident in the ability to complete this project as we go
Thank you,
forward.
Mr. Adler.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Astrup.
having heard all the comments and having seen this project come to what it is, I am prepared to make a very lengthy motion if you're ready for that. All right, I move that the board, accept the best bid for the new Owyhee Combined School submitted by MGM Construction Incorporated, being the base bid of $63,374,000, and award the contract to that bidder on the condition that MGM Construction Inc. timely submits to District Legal Counsel all documents required by the instructions to bidders for the base bid, including A, the signed contract. B, proof of required insurance. C, issued performance bond. And D, issued payment bond. And accept all 8 MGM Construction, Inc. alternate bids on the condition that the district is able to secure additional funding for all 8 MGM Construction, Inc. alternate bids from the state beyond the available funding under AB 519 to pay for the cost of all 8 alternates, with the amount of the contract, insurance, and bonds to be increased by that amount if and when the condition is met.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Discussion.
I'd like to discuss a few things. I'd like to start out by saying I want this project to get done. I 100% want this project to get done. I've been doing graduations up in Owyhee the last few years. I understand. I've seen the facilities. This school is very, very much needed. I have concerns, and it has to do with the bid and the insurances that we have as a board, that it's not going to go over, that we have enough for contingency. This number is right at that ceiling where it's at. And if fuel costs go up, if steel goes up because of tariffs, any of those things, we're on the hook. The district is on the hook as a board. And right now, today, I don't have those assurances that we're not going to be, that those things are going to be covered. And until I do, I'm not comfortable voting on it. I'm not saying that I want to vote no, because I don't. I want to vote yes. But I need those assurances. And that's the major concern I have right now, is that we're right, like I said, right at the ceiling of that number without, I've had a lot of people talk to me and try and talk to me, but I haven't seen anything in writing yet that says it's not going to cost us 10% more. And if that number elevates to the $72, $73 million, we simply don't have that money. Our budgeted amount for capital improvements for the end of the year is about $4 million, if I'm right. And that doesn't even cover that. So I think we need some more information on this bid before I can comfortably vote yes on it. And that's, again, I want to thank everybody for your contributions and everything you've done to try and make this happen. And I want to join you in that. I want this project to go forward, but we have to be financially, fiscally responsible as a board for the district. And until I have those assurances from the state, from the bidders, from all of that, until I see that personally, right now, all I have in front of me is a signed bid. And I have a lot of information coming at me here, literally minutes before the meeting. And I'm just not comfortable with that. This is $64 million. I need to be able to look at it, understand it, and sleep on it.
So with the contingency, we're at 1.5%, which we're going to be, I think, okay on this project. We would probably want to be at 3% for this project, but 1.5, I think, will make this happen. We are getting this school for a price per square foot at $675 per square foot. I think the food science building, we were at about $690 per square foot. We are not going to get this project done if we vote no on this. It's not going to happen. They're not going to bid this again. It's not going to happen. I think, my personal opinion as a construction manager for the last 25 years, this is the best bid I've seen in a long, long time. So I just to hopefully help you with a little bit of that reservation. So
again, that's right now in the meeting. I haven't had time to look at it, to sleep on it, anything.
right.
And
So
that's the concern I have. I'm not saying I want to vote no.
no,
I'm saying I need more time.
So structural steel from when we bid it in September or whenever that was, right? August, September, has gone up $600,000 from that bid to this bid. Nothing's going to go down in price. I mean, with tariffs or different things that are going to be happening, I think this is a good bid. We are getting.
That's exactly why I'm concerned. I don't think that percentage is a good contingency. I think 10% is what we should be looking at. And that's what I've talked to contractors. I've done some talking on my own over this past weekend, and that's what I'm seeing.
I would say 5% would be crazy expensive. I really think 1.5 to 3% is really where we're going to be at. Talking to MGM, the plans are super clean. They're pretty comfortable with, as long as nothing really changes. Kind of, you're looking at maybe changes with soil and different things like that. We're going to be okay with this project.
Multiple variables. This is a $65
Absolutely.
million project.
Yeah.
So, yes. Anyway, that's, I'm not here to argue. That's just my opinion.
So we advanced that $32.5 million and we've been making interest on it in our sweep accounts. We make about $150,000 a month on the interest. I've spoken with Dr. Higbee and we've been trying to negotiate with the state that they could advance us the additional $32.5 million, because so far we've made $1.7 million in interest, which we can be using for contingency for this project as well. Another thing that I'd like the board to consider, I understand that you need more time, but I would also think that it'd be a discussion that we've already spent $4 million on this project. And I don't know if anyone's ever thought about what would happen if we had to pay that back to the state, because it's not possible at this point.
Okay, I have some comments. So I agree with Jeff. I think 1.5 contingency is far too low. When I read that we were shooting for somewhere around 2 to 3% contingency, my family's in the construction world. I have a lot of people that I've reached out to about this, and one of them's a project manager for a very big company that's worth billions of dollars, $284 billion, I believe. And he said, fully designed, 12% contingency. And then he said, if the engineering studies are in, then you should be able to go with 10%, but soil and engineering studies are critical. And I asked CJ, he said soil and engineering studies are done. And he said that 10% is the least we should plan on with a project of this scope. Other people that I've talked to also in the construction field have said the same thing, that 10% is the lowest that we should go. They said mainly because of the location of the project and also because of the volatility of supplies in the market currently. We're business owners, my family is. We have a tire company. Our quotes are only good for 5 days for tires just because of the volatility of the market right now. In our construction, our quotes are only good for 30 days because of how the market is right now. And like Jeff said, the price of fuel could drastically change the transportation, delivery, the operations, the cost of operations. Then you could have weather could play a factor in that. There are a variety of things that could happen that could make this go, the price of this project go significantly higher. And so when I think about that, I think that the state is giving us $64.5 million. Like she said, we have already spent $4 million. That leaves us with $60 million. The quote that we're getting is for $63,374,000. If you add a 10% contingency on that, then it goes way up. I think, what were the numbers, CJ, that you had worked out? This project could end up anywhere between 70 million and 73 million easily. And so while I appreciate and that there are those funds that have 25 million in for us to draw from, that's if we put in matching funds. And so we would have to put in millions of dollars to have those funds matched to be able to draw from that tribal lands, 25 million, the pot for tribal lands. And where if you look at our capital improvement list and all of the different needs that we have in our district, I really want to build this school out in Owyhee also. I really do. But this is not, the shape of the school out there is not an isolated instance in our district. We have many schools that are in need of a lot of different things. And if we take the money that we're getting in from the tax, which is going to be about, we're hoping is about 5 million a year, and we have to put that in to this project for matching funds, then we have all sorts of other projects around the district that are not wants, they're needs. that we won't be able to take care of. And I just hate to think, a lot of them are mechanical upgrades. And if we have a school's heat go out and we don't even have the money to fix the boiler in a school, we're gonna be sending kids to school in coats and gloves and hand warmers. I just think, you know, I agree with Jeff. I think we need more time to look at this, to figure out how we're gonna get those funds, how we're gonna make this work so that we're taking care of all students in our district and we're taking care of all the needs in our district. I really, really do want to build this school out in Owyhee, but I'm very nervous to vote on this. I think we need more time to look into it. And just so you're aware, I know we have been making interest, earning interest on that money that was given to us. We've already been given $32,250,000 and we're earning interest on that. And that you guys have been talking to the governor's office about possibly getting the rest of the money for us to be able to earn more interest on that, to be able to put towards the shortfall. I talked to the governor's office today. They said that is not an option. They said there is no option for us to get the other $32,250,000. That they cannot do it. They said the only way that we're going to be able to come up with the money that we need to pay the overages or what's going over is if we put matching funds in and receive those or put funds in and receive the matching funds from those $25 million funds that have been put forward with this bill.
Cassie, remind me again, please, or repeat again what the interest is to date, roughly. Okay, thank you.
So if we move forward with this project, they can't put a change order for gas that's gone up. We're going to lock in at this project cost and move forward. They're not going to be able to go, well, you know what, diesel's gone up 45 cents. We need additional cost for this. This is their base bid. It's a good base bid. They beat down their price, all their subs. This is the best we're ever going to see. It's not going to get better from here. It's going to get worse from here. And change orders are only going to happen with engineering and different things that kind of happen with a typical construction project. But our base bid is our base bid. It's not going to go, well, steel's gone up $600,000, like I said, or, you know, copper's gone up another $500,000. We need a change order for that. That's on the contractor. That's on their thing. That's what they're projecting out to complete this in the next 2 years.
So as a board member, I would like to see the contract, the bid.
Exactly.
And because I've been told, and I'm just going to tell you, I've been told one thing from some people and had all these assurances that it was all going to work out, that the governor really wants this to happen and that, you know, we weren't going to have to take any of the money from our capital improvements projects to pay for this, that we would still have that money there for other needs in the district. And then today I talked to the governor's office and find out that that's not the case. And so without me being able to put eyes on that contract and see exactly what that contract includes and what can and can't happen, I'm not ready to vote on this today.
And that's exactly what I'm asking too. I have not seen it. All I see is a bid and that's it. You can sit here and say whatever you want in front of me, but at the end of the day, it's me on the line. It's me saying yes or no, and it's me putting this district in jeopardy or not. And just like you said, we can't afford to pay $4 million back on this. So how can we afford to go over? I have to make sure. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Thank you. I'm
So-
going to have board members on this side if anybody wants to comment. Okay, Teresa?
I just see that Mr. Adler's had his hand up and I'd like to hear his input.
Sure. I'm going to take the gentleman here in the audience first, and then Mr. Adler will come to you. And I apologize. Yeah, thank you, Teresa, because I keep forgetting to look up there, and it's right below a big red live button, so I kind of missed half of his hand. Sorry there, Mr. Adler. We'll get you in just a moment. Go ahead, and if you would please enter.
My name is Todd Schwant. I've been a resident of Elko County since 1970. Started school in Elko County School District in Montello, Nevada in 1970. I am a contractor. I am one of the earthworks, utilities, concrete contractors on this project. We have worked on this project diligently, both go-arounds. We have over 30 days of bidding into it. I know for a fact that our number came in much higher than what we put down on the bid sheet. When this bid came in and the numbers were being crunched at the last minute, 3 or 4, maybe 5 of the major contractors, and I'm talking to everybody that's over $5 million on this project, we went back in and we cut our percentages to make this job happen. We cut money out of our pocket to make this job go through. I've done projects up in Duck Valley before for the Elko County School District in the past. I know what the challenges are. I know what we're dealing with. We've spoken with Mr. Jones multiple times on it, making sure the material is going to be there. Do we have this? Do we have that? What else do we need? We're working closely with the tribe to make this project happen. There is no escalation changes or clauses in this contract. We bid a job for Nevada Department of Transportation. Fuel goes up, oh, we get an escalation. Labor goes up, we get an escalation. There's no escalation in this. Our vendors are telling us that if you guys vote on this tonight and say yes, we order our materials tomorrow because of the tariffs, because of steel prices. Our quotes, as you said, ma'am, Ms. Ballard, we're good for 15 days, 20 days. We're at the 10 days right now today from when we got that last quote. We're eating this out of pocket. We are the core of this community trying to make this project happen and build a school in Duck Valley, satisfy the school board. We're not, and none of us are trying to get rich. None of us are fleecing our pockets out of this. We're all trying to figure out how we're going to house 30 employees for the next 2 years and what we're going to cost in driving them every day from Elko, Nevada to Owyhee and back. 2.5, 3 hours drive each way. So I just wanted to assure you that we're here for the tribe to build this school and be part of something that we can look back on for the next 20 years and say, yeah, we did that. We're not here to fleece anybody. We're not here to get rich off this one job. We're here for the school district. And we're here for the tribe. And I just want to emphasize that because like I said, I've been in business here as a contractor for 15 years. We have good years, we have bad years. And this isn't a job we're going into that we're going to go, oh man, we're going to kill it on this one. I spoke with one contractor last night. His job bid is much higher than mine. And he's like, I don't know whether to be scared or to be excited. We're on the fence because we don't know what we're getting into with turnover employees. People are going to burn out. They don't want to go stay up there at the reservation. But we put together a good number for you guys. And it's only going to get higher and higher and higher. You're going to keep cutting out part of the project to try to make it fit into the box. And the project's going to keep going up in prices just because the tariffs is still the volatile market that we're in right now today. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Good timing, Mr. Schwant. Mr. Adler.
In my arrogance, Will Adler for the record, I was going to speak for the good contractors and people of Elko have put their necks on the line for this one because, yeah, I was going to mention that there isn't an upscale for expected inflated costs in the contract. But thank you for surmising that much better than I could. But just to put some more points to it, and I don't want to speak for our good Governor Joe Lombardo. I did speak to him today myself as well, but I would never speak for the man. So I do know that he has the same issues I do with the project. That is, Duck Valley is a shared community. It is a Nevada tribe and an Idaho tribe. We are actually trying to go through the student roll count and figure out what is the percentage of students from Idaho versus Nevada. But one way or the other, we did have a deep desire to say, hey, Nevada has put it forward. Idaho did show up and they did have some efforts for the groundbreaking, as I said, but we have every intention to actually, now that we know what the bid is, know what the fixed cost will be, to actually lobby, as my job is, every outlet we can to actually cover that known gap today and now. We don't want to leave that number lying any longer than you guys do, but I also want to speak
Mr. Adler, I apologize. I'm going to interrupt you for just a moment.
Yeah.
Because I know that we have Senator Hansen and I don't know what his schedule looks like. So Senator Hansen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
You have Senator Hansen and Assemblywoman Hansen actually looking at the Zoom feed. Excellent.
All right.
My greetings from the Nevada legislature.
Well,
Sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Actually, I was just coming in to hear Will. Will has been the man that's handled this brilliantly. About the only thing I would like to say is, look, I'm a contractor of 38 years myself. I've handled a lot of issues like this over the years. Yeah, there may be issues that come up. Of course, there always is. What I would point out, though, is that right now, literally, you got $64 million that the state has given for nothing, for free, federal dollars, And you guys are getting dangerously close to, if you don't get the project going forward today, soon, the prices are just going higher. You have a great bid from a very reliable contractor who is anxious to get the project going. What will happen as a contractor, I know he will, if you get the contract signed, he will tomorrow lock in pricing with his material suppliers that will be guaranteed for a certain window of time. But if you guys keep pushing this out and pushing it out, literally every day pricing is going up. So you guys want to, I just don't want to, what I don't want to see is for you guys to delay it because, from the time you initially got the engineer's estimate 2.5 years ago, they thought 64 million would be fine. Now we are getting bids a little bit above that. And it's not going to go down. So please, this is state dollars that we gave. This isn't coming from out of Elko property taxes. This is something that should have been done honestly a long time ago. Both Alexis and I went up and toured the school several times, and we were able to put a pretty full court press on in the legislature. The Democrats and Republicans came together on this. And we went up, we had the big groundbreaking ceremony with the governor. We're still here to back up the project too. We've got other contingency ideas coming up. But the main thing I want to emphasize tonight is, look, we gotta get this thing going forward. If we wait any longer, the prices are just going to escalate. So that was my main pitch tonight. Thank you. I apologize for kind of coming in at an odd time. Just so you know, I am here for the rest of the meeting if necessary. This is something both Assemblywoman Hanson and I have been worked on very aggressively now for quite a while, and we're very anxious to see the school for those Indian children up there that frankly need this very badly.
Thank you, Senator Hanson, for your comments. Any questions for the senator before I continue, team? But I just wanted to say Senator Hanson also included some of the efforts there, but the Elko County School District is not alone in these efforts, and that this should show that you do have a team supporting you. It is the community of Duck Valley. It is myself. It is the senator and his lovely wife and the Senator Assemblywoman team there, because the legislature is live. There's a lot of conversations going on, but this is an issue of passion and pride for the Nevada legislature that we want to get this school done, because it is something that needs to get done. As the senator said, it's a very dilapidated school today, and it could be a piece of pride for Nevada going into the future. Just again, putting a ribbon on it, I think their advocacy too really shine through, not just for tribal communities, but there is $25 million there for rural schools to match against that didn't have to be in that bill, frankly. I mean, that was the passion of these advocates you see before you, Chair Mason, myself, and the senator, that said there isn't enough funding in rural Nevada to actually build schools or even repair them. And that's hopefully the account you guys can continue to grow and credit against into the future, because that's our goal, is to actually make all rural school districts better. And hopefully you guys can use those dollars today. And I didn't want to, put it tribal against rural dollars, but there's two pots of money and you can collect for both or credit against either account. But yes, that account didn't have to be there, but it is like advocates like Senator Hanson that helped get it there for rural schools, not just tribal. But thank you for hearing this issue tonight, and thank you for being there as a contractor and senator tonight, Mr. Hanson. But yeah, I do think the realities of bids and cost sheets are something we all have to deal with, and this will probably go up from here. So thank you.
Mr. Adler. Teresa, anything that you'd like to add for now?
Nothing else to add except that I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Dr. Byers.
So I'm in agreement here. The longer we wait on this, the higher it's going to go. We just have, and we've been sitting on it for a while. We asked for a bid under what that was, and we said we don't have the funds. I understand we don't have the funds. So if we don't have the funds, we don't have the funds. So I just think that if we move forward, we can get this thing rolling. We can get some things going, and have to work with, and that's what contingencies are for. So if the contingencies don't happen, the contingencies don't happen. So, and what's $1.3 million? We're talking about it a minute ago. So, yeah, I'm all for it. I'd like to call the question.
Okay, the call to question is non-debatable, requires 5 votes in favor. So are you in favor of ending debate and voting immediately on the question? I'm going to take a roll call vote. Ms.
Aye.
Neal. Okay, thank you, Ms. Dastrup. This will end debate and we will immediately vote.
Aye.
Ms. Stanfield. Ms. Ballard. Mr. Durham.
I'm a nay. I'd like to hear from the rest of the board. And from the superintendent.
It comes down to me and I'm going to vote aye. We'll call for the question. The rest of the board spoke. Superintendent had the opportunity to speak, so that's why I voted aye. Okay, so all in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
And the board has made it easy for me. I'm also going to vote nay, not because I disagree with this project. I wholeheartedly agree with this project. I'm disagreeing because I don't know that we're ready right now to move forward. And I would have liked to have changed the motion, but it's non-amendable. So once we call for the question. With that said, this motion passes, and I would now like to ask staff to do everything in their power to find every penny we can, including potentially, one of the concerns that I have is that using, to Mr. Adler's point of using the 25 million on either bucket of money, we have to pull our money out of that. So any money that we put into that bucket for this project means that that's money that we've not going to be able to use elsewhere. And again, I don't want to pit them versus us, but that is the reality. And we have other expenses that we were already utilizing and that we'd already planned. And that has now been reduced by covering what we were understanding to have already been paid for. We currently have 1.7 million in interest. If we are allowed to apply that 1.7 million to the tribal bucket and to the rural schools bucket, that gets us that gets us a total of 5.1 million. That means that we've not spent any of the 25 or 20 cents that the county's AB 519 has allowed. And that still may mean that then we're not spending any of our money, technically. It's the interest generated. And I'd like staff, Mr. Anderson, I'd like for you to instruct staff or do whatever you need to do to research that a little bit further.
Certainly. If I could just add one more thing, I was getting ready to when Dr. Byers called the question, so I turned my mic back off. But just to echo what Matt Stalkey said, and I'm sorry, didn't catch your name earlier, but what he said about the risk of escalation, our legal counsel said the following: it's a lump sum bid. There are no increases. Then in all caps, MGM can't increase the price, and further clarify that there is no escalation clause in the contract. So the base bid is the base bid. So just want to make sure that was part of the conversation and understanding.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
For this vote, and because of our audio, may I have a vote with hands, please? Just a show of hands.
Absolutely. Teresa, I'm going to put my hand up for you. So
Thank you.
all in favor? Opposed?
Can I add something here?
I did, so that'd be kind of rude of me to say no.
My vote was with great reluctance because I just didn't want to vote against it. But again, that assurance that I got right now, the legal, happened right now. I didn't see it before then. I hope you understand my apprehension because I did want this project to go forward. But I feel like in the future, in future projects, I'd like to have that information earlier.
I'd like to add that also. I see tears of joy, and I really want this project to happen. I really do. I just felt like I didn't have the information that I needed at the time. I was ready to just get a few more questions answered and even call a special meeting if we had to just put my mind at ease more and make sure that I had the assurances that I need, that this is something that the district could do. I feel like that's my responsibility as a board member, to be responsible with the money that we're given, and that we're spending it in the best interest of all students in our district. I'm happy that you guys are going to get your school, and I hope and pray that it all works out and that we can cover all of the needs for everyone in this district that we need to.
Mr. Stolke.
I would more than welcome you guys to come to any bid opening that we have, and then we can sit down and go over all that information after that. So, I mean, that's all public information, and you guys can ask all the questions, legal's there at the same time, and we can go through all that and really dive down through all that stuff if you guys would like, so.
Thank you.
I'd like to go ahead and make it public then too, that I'd like to see more than just a bid amount on the next agenda item. Thank you.
Sure.
Senator Hansen, Assemblywoman Hansen, thank you very much for your advocacy for this project. Thank you for your leadership, for whatever you did to get the rest of the legislature in 2023 behind this. We greatly appreciate it. Chairman Mason, thank you very much for your leadership as well. And Mr. Adler, this would not have come out about, I don't think, without the efforts of you and your team and who you put together. So thank you very much for that as well. All right, at this time, we're going to go ahead and move to 2.04, receipt, review, and possible permission to go out to bid to replace the old central office roof for possible action.
Thank you. So I looked at two roofs. We have a ton of roofs actually that are getting to the end of life cycle, but Old Central is completely failed. So we got a engineer drawings and a kind of proposal for about $250,000 to put a new roof on to Old Central. Another roof I would like to do was Wells High School gym roof. It's a barrel roof. We were gonna probably encapsulate that. That's $500,000. So just with the limited funds, I would like to get Old Central fixed, and then we would move maybe next year to do Wells High School gym roof.
I apologize. At this time, the motion before us is to accept to allow permission to go out to bid. Discussion on that? Happy to entertain a motion.
I move that we go, permission to go out to bid to replace the old central office roof.
Is there a second to grant permission?
Second.
Okay, I'll give it to Miss Adriana. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Stalky. You can keep on standing up there for 2.05.
Okay.
Continue on with the report you just gave us or started on.
So we have the food science project. I don't know if anybody's kind of gone out and taken a look at it, but walls, roofs up, they're doing interior framing. It's coming along pretty well. So that project's moving along really well. And then other projects I'm kind of looking at, we have, I want to get a cost proposal for new boilers at Elko High School. We have 2 boilers that are early 60s that we're very happy that they're continuing running. But I'd like to address that issue before it becomes an issue. Yes. So I would like to get rid of the steam as well. We have a fantastic building superintendent, Lawrence Sharp, down there that's basically kept those running. And I really appreciate him. And but he probably will retire hopefully this year. But not that anybody else couldn't take care of it, but Lawrence done a fantastic job, and I would like to address that issue before it becomes an issue. And then we've had an issue up at Jackpot High School. We have a system in there that's not really the best system for a cold climate like that. So I would like to just kind of go into engineering and maybe just look at like what we could do different up there, maybe a 4-pipe fan coil system to make it simple, easy for maintenance and move forward from there. Grammar number 2, design is going along with that. Just with everything, cost proposal that I've got is about, it went up another like $300 or $30,000 from $900,000 for that. But well, we're kind of dialing all that stuff in and seeing where we're at. We're still working on a price for moving the office, the principal's office to, is that 6th Street, I believe. And then kind of having the kids funnel in from 6th Street and not through the playground, or not have parents come in through the playground there. School safety projects, schools completed, Adobe Middle School, Elko High School, Spring Creek High School, Spring Creek Middle School, Southside Elementary, Wells Combined just got completed, I think this week. They're kind of going back to Sage just because we had like logistics issues with cameras. So we were just kind of doing the TCUs before we would do the cameras, but now we have all that stuff. So we're moving forward with cameras at Sage, and then moving forward, we're just going to do everything at every school. We're not going to be bouncing back and forth. So schools scheduled to be completed. We're really trying to work on our high schools. So they just started West Wendover this week. And then we would like Jackpot and then Carlin Combined to get finished by the end of this year. So. And then Flagview Auxiliary Gym got completed about a month ago, and that turned out fantastic, and no change orders, and turned out great. So.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
I do.
Okay, thank you for your, oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Josh.
Just a quick question about HVAC and AC. You know, when we're going over the calendar, there's quite a few comments as far as AC being an issue.
Yeah.
Are we looking into that at all? Have we done anything with that? Is that something that's going to come up with your, was it number 5, or as far as school needs?
Yeah, so I'm meeting with every principal and building superintendent, walking through their project, or, you know, their schools, and seeing what their needs and wants are. That definitely is one. I mean, at grammar number 2, we decided not to do a chiller, to do cooling there, just with limited funding, but it's definitely on, you know, a future plan. Spring Creek Middle, again, they have really big swamp coolers, but not a chiller system that's providing, I think, adequate cooling. But most of the other schools, we kind of have an okay system, doesn't need to be upgraded, sure. And then we're kind of addressing those issues.
Okay, so I apologize when I ask this question, but if you know, great. If you don't, that's fine. A chiller system, approximately, not take you to court, but just what, I have no idea what that
Sure.
system would cost. But if you were giving a generalized type, what that might cost us to install, just so I have reference.
So let's just say grammar, right? We're doing, let's say, $1 million for new boilers there. We would be roughly about $1 million to do a chiller system there. We would have to do different things with the units in the classroom, but again, it would change. Like Spring Creek Middle would be less, be a chiller system that kind of goes back into that duct system and everything. So, but you know, you're looking at $500,000 to $1 million per school.
I just want to make sure, because I have folks that, you know, they think it costs what, like, you know, an AC unit in the window costs. So If we just get a couple of those, it'll be fine. But I know it costs more, and so I appreciate that. Thanks for going on a limb for me. I appreciate that. And so that we have that. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm going to take the privilege of the chair for a minute. Matt, the design that we're currently in the middle of, if we were to find $1 million and say, great, put a chiller in, how much would it cost to delay putting the chiller in on replumbing or repiping or anything else versus if we said, hey, let's look at this now and go forward? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I'm looking at units that we can actually go back to and put a chiller system in at grammar number 2. Right, so, maybe we eat a little bit of upfront cost, $5,000 per unit or whatever it is. I just made up that number. But, a couple grand per unit and then kind of go from there. But yeah, that's kind of my plan to look at all the schools. Let's get them heating and cooling equal to every school. So
Sure, absolutely. Since we have grammar in design currently, I just wanted to see what would, if that's something that we need to consider as well.
So with grammar number 2, we are looking into at least cooling in the gym, because that would be a really easy, not upfront cost to kind of provide that. But a lot of this other stuff would be a complete redesign and looking at all that.
Okay, thank you. Further questions for Mr. Stolke? All righty. Thank you very much, sir. 3.01 is our consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Motion passes. 4.01 is the superintendent's report. Mr. Anderson.
Hello. Thank you. All right, just a few things to keep you updated on. We spent a good long time talking about a couple of the items over the last 2 weeks that have occupied a big majority of our time for a lot of us, not just me. Something else I want to just keep you aware of is when we established our strategic plan a little while back, one of our primary actions that we committed to carrying out over the course of the 2 to 3 years of having strategic plan was to establish an Elko County School District portrait of a learner or portrait of a graduate. It can be called lots of things. We'll call it whatever we want to call it too. But we're kind of right on the doorstep of officially moving forward with that, with a wonderful partner who's been part of the statewide effort around the Nevada Future of Learning, and they're going to be kind of guiding us through that process. It'll be kind of an amplified version of the type of committee we had with strategic plan, but we'll also include business partners, current students from different grade levels, parents. Hopefully we get some former graduates or recent graduates to be part of it. So all to establish what education is, what the residents of our county and our communities feel like education should look like and should accomplish here in Elko County. So we're going to be moving forward with that. I will probably, because I think if Susan can remind me, I think when we were doing a strategic plan, I think the board may have, did you get voted on to be that member? I'm trying to remember. I thought that was I can't remember if that was an official action or not. I think it was an official action. In any case, we very much are going to want a board member to be present to represent board views. And so given that we want to get that going, I think we sort of set a tentative date to have our first kind of convening of that regard, would be in mid-April. So sometime soon, we'd like to establish who that would be. So, if that's something you're psyched about maybe being considered for, start to consider that. If you don't want it to be you, then think of who you want to nominate instead of you. But we'll be asking for that pretty soon. And excited we also had as you know, some of our schools, you've seen some of the product of their work. Liberty Peak's been up here to show what they've been doing with the Nevada Future of Learning Network. So has Southside, I believe, was here recently. We had a convening last Friday. It was a virtual convening. They alternate virtual and in person. And so some of our wonderful folks gave up some time on Friday last week, and really good conversations, and that work is going forward. So we're excited about what's being accomplished at those campuses. Something that I also want to share that was kind of a positive last week at a couple of our campuses. We were able to tour out in Owyhee with some folks from Lexia, which is a language arts supplemental kind of program. It's supposed to help close gaps for reading and literacy issues and phonemic awareness, and really capture kids wherever they are on that spectrum, because at any given class, at any given grade level, you got some kids that are 2-3 grade levels behind, and you have some kids that are 2-3 grade levels ahead. And how do you manage that? And how does the teacher balance meeting all the needs of all those kids? So Lexia is a really it's an amazing product, but we haven't implemented it district wide. It's been something that select campuses have chosen to look at, and so we were able to go see that in motion at some classrooms in Owyhee and then at Flagview Intermediate, and it was great. They were doing a wonderful job, and we're kind of looking into the future of, is this something we could, given some more data and some more time to look at the effectiveness of that, is that something we could potentially expand to other campuses? But it definitely would help meet some needs that we currently have unmet in regards to professional development as it pertains to literacy, to tier 1, even tier 2 and 3 interventions. So really happy to see the work. I wish that more people could have been in the classrooms of the teachers that we were in. It was pretty awesome. They were, I know it's not a technical education term, but they were rocking and rolling. It was amazing to watch them in action. So really proud of the work that we saw going on in the classrooms that we got to visit that day, and grateful to the support they've been getting from Lexia. And so just wanted to share that with you. Let's see, I got 2 more things. Just kind of, I know this has been at the forefront, not of everybody's mind, but for a lot of people, something that took up a bit of our time over the last, especially week. And, I just want to make sure it's clear. I mean nothing one way or another about this from a political standpoint, but it's worth mentioning that due to recent presidential executive orders, there's been a lot of concern from a lot of different directions. We had concerns about federal funds being frozen, and they were for a short period of time, led to a lot of, I think some people were panicking, others were just deeply concerned. We had to do some significant pivoting there in the moment, and I was really impressed with not only the work that our CFO, Ms. Stolke, did, but also our new grants manager, Megan Cox. A lot of reaction there that was timely and perfect, and I think we handled that really well. I was also appreciative of during that time, there was a lot of, just like we had at the board today, there's differing opinions about different things. And the same thing happened when these executive orders came out regarding the funding. And but no matter who we were across the state, district leaders that may disagree with each other, people from NDE down to us to whatever, like we were all in that moment. It was okay, like that stuff goes to the side. We got to take care of each other. We got to make sure our schools stay running. We got to make sure our schools are able to pay their bills should this stuff get frozen for whatever, 60, like who knows? Nobody knew anything at that time, including the people who were supposed to be telling us what to do. Like nobody knew. And it was really encouraging to see everyone kind of band together. It was very frustrating, the disruption that it caused, because nobody had on their calendar for that day executive order to freeze all funding. Like that was not on anyone's schedule. And it became the highest priority for us to all pulled it, like all non-essential things had to be put on hold so we could do that, so schools could keep running. And sometimes I guess what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to talk up the good work that the folks sitting at that table did that day, those days, and the other ones who aren't in the room right now. Our schools have to keep running. If a truck is late with something, we still have to run school. If a deposit doesn't happen, we still have to run school. Like we are we are blessed with amazing staff members who care deeply about our schools. And it hurts a little bit when I hear people talk bad about, district office, because what district office is compiled of is a ton of people who put everything they have every day into helping our schools run so that our teachers and our bus drivers and everyone can do the good work that they do. So I don't think it's the end of surprises for us for a while, but I'm confident that we're going to be able to pivot properly. Another one I don't want to talk too much about, but I know that there are people in our community, in all of our communities, of Elko County and across the state, who were deeply disturbed and concerned by the executive order having to do with immigration being strengthened and that sort of thing. What I want to assure everyone of is that we're going to do a few things. One of those is we're going to provide FAPE, which is a free and appropriate public education. That's going to happen every day, no matter what executive order or whatever else happens. We're going to provide FAPE for our children. We are not going to violate FERPA, which FERPA is what requires us to keep people's private lives and their personal information confidential. So we will provide FAPE. We will not violate FERPA. And I was grateful in the moment when that came out and certain people said, well, what are we going to do if? And I said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to enact the policy that our board just revised, whatever it was, 3 or 4 or 5 months ago. I can't remember what it was, about how we interact with law enforcement agents when they come to our campuses. So we have procedures, we have policies, and we're working with our internally as well with our administrators to make sure that they know how we are to conduct ourselves in those moments, and how we can sensitively respond to people's concerns. In the end, again, people are going to have different opinions, and it's our job to be even-keeled. It's our job to be level-headed. It's our job to appropriately and lawfully administer our policies and the laws that govern our city, our county, our country, our state, everything, all the things. It's our job to make sure we do that appropriately, and I have confidence that we'll do that as well. So,
CJ, before you go any further on, since we're on that topic, I'm very rarely on social media because I just don't care for it, but I did receive a couple of links to, I believe it was a Facebook post by Chief Troughton of the Elko Police Department. I would suggest that if you're interested, search that out. I recognize that that is only one law enforcement agency within a county that has multiple jurisdictions, but just something to look forward to, or to look for, and listen to his words as well.
Yeah, thank you. And we're like in the very final stages of having like established guidance, not quite a script, but established guidance for all of our administrators and secretarial staff who might interact with folks on the phone that are worried about these things, to make sure that the consistent message is going out as people raise those concerns. But one thing I know is our students should be able to come to school free from fear, intimidation, concern about their safety. And so anything we can do to make sure they are able to do that is what we will do, because that's our job. And then to finish off my comments with a pretty cool piece of news, Cassie Stalkey, who you all know. Yeah, eye contact, yep. She and we just found out that she is receiving a pretty cool award. She's our brand new CFO, but she is being named and I guess I don't have the exact title of it, but there's an organization that we all pronounce NAFIPA, but it stands for the National Association of Federal Education Program Administrators. She was nominated by one of her colleagues from across the state for the exceptional job she has done as a grants coordinator, and also the amazing job. Like we know what she's doing now and we know her path of where she is now. And that was all part of it. And she was selected by NAFIPA to represent Nevada as that individual for the entire state. So that's like fresh news. But I just talked about some other stuff, and so I wanted to say something pretty cool and pretty happy and really impressed by the work she does every day. So grateful for her expertise, her collaboration, and all I can think of is this is how good she is after, what are we now, Cassie, 7 months on the job, 8 months on the job, something like that? Yeah, it sure does. But the future is bright, and I know we're slowly trudging our way through financial concerns with our district, but I can't think of who we could have better helping us out right now. So really, really proud of her and good job. Yep. I want to keep saying stuff, but I have a feeling that I've talked for a long time, so I'm gonna be done unless someone has a question for me.
I do. I have a question about vendors. I couldn't find a policy that stated we only had certain vendors that staff and administrators can use. Do we have a policy that I know about? Is there something that came out maybe internally that I don't know about?
Our 2025 NAFIPA recipient is going to comment on that.
I think I know what this is about because there was a conversation in my office. So we try to limit the amount of vendors we have. A lot of it has to do with control, whether it's nepotism, whether it's the buddy system. But people can request to have a new vendor added. We do have a list that we can print out to everybody. They can request a new vendor, but before they just start picking random vendors, we want them to assure us that where they're going, the price is going to be less expensive. And that's why we're actually adding additional vendors and not just using the ones that we've had partnerships with.
We also try to encourage people to consider, like if someone's looking for a vendor of whatever product, we'll say, well, we do already work with someone who, or these three who have those options. I don't know if you're aware of them or not, or because there are processes to make someone a new vendor. So to directly answer your question, no, there isn't like a limited list, and those are the only people they can draw from. So we're willing to accept new vendors. There are certain criteria depending on if you're purchasing from a grant or if it's a federally funded grant, things like that, where you have to. So if you're gonna use like a supplementary curriculum, they've got to prove a certain level of what's called ESSA evidence to show that it's something effective and not just going out and buying something to spend some money. So there are processes we try to guide people through that. So if they come up with something new, we'll hear, what are you trying to find? How can we maybe facilitate and help that out? Because naturally there's going to be new vendors and some are
for sure.
go out of business. And so that has to be fluid to a certain extent.
Okay. Trying to figure out how to phrase. I don't know how to phrase that question. So is this something that's like regular? So would this be found in like a book for the staff then? Would it be found like otherwise? I mean, we've been doing it for a while.
There's a vendor request form.
Okay.
And all the finance secretaries know that if somebody at the site wants to request a purchase order and the vendor isn't in the system, then they fill out the vendor request form, and on there they have to provide reasoning on why they're using that vendor instead of one of the vendors that are already in our system.
Okay, so basically what you're telling me then is because it's so hard, then we're not going to. So, I mean, you're saying we can, but we're saying that we have a whole process that people have to go through. Is this something that just came up is what I'm asking? How soon did we start this?
It's been going on quite a while, and other local governments also follow this as well.
Okay, and so the secretary's talking about other ones that work with you here.
I think she
We
means
have
the
a finance
secretary
secretary at every school site.
Each site.
So there's a registrar and then there's a finance secretary. The finance secretary does the payroll and all the purchasing. And
So does the
works
finance
directly-
secretary have the option to say, I don't want to fill that form out?
No,
I'm just making sure that's on record.
no, it comes to our office and then we have the option to whether we're going to deny it or approve it.
And then there's a reason for a denial then.
Correct.
And that will go back the other way.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's the process that's followed. So, okay. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Anything else for CJ?
Well, I have something.
Please, go ahead, Adrian.
And it's about immigration too. There's a lot of families that have many emails and not emails, texts and phone calls. There's a lot of families that are scared. Is there any way that we can send them or let them know not to be scared, send your kids to school, that they're going to be fine, that there's nothing big going on here in Elko. There's another cities, well, not here, but there's a lot going on, and that's why they're so scared. Is there any way that something that we can do to just reassure them that their kids are good and everything's going to be fine?
I'll make a note about it. Yep.
Anything else? All right. We'll move to 5.01, items from board members. We are going to come to you, Skylar, but I won't put you on the spot quite yet, so I'll start on the other end. Susan.
I'm happy that Owyhee will have their school. And thank you to everyone who's done all the work Mr. Anderson was talking about. I do appreciate everyone. I would like to mention, you were talking about going out into schools, like looking at that program. If it's possible, could we be invited to some of those? Because that would be a great way to get out there and see what's being done, but also not a waste of resource like going together. I'm not saying I can go to everything you ever do and that you have to invite us to everything, but that would be kind of nice to be invited to those kind of things. And I think, thank you, Skylar, for joining us. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Adriana. Okay, Josh.
I have a couple things. Kind of excited we got the Owyhee project going. I know the project since its beginning has been an adventure. So I'm sure it'll continue to be an adventure. But I'm happy we have that in play. I'd like to just say that I appreciate the staff that we brought out. I appreciate what you've done and all the time you put in. I'm only concerned with how we're gonna pay for things. So it seems as though everyone else is ready and we have that covered. So good there. Selfless plug, but it is for the community. Ignite Life Chiropractic is doing our annual Undie 500. That's where we collect new underwear and socks for our community, and then we hand that over to community and schools, and they disperse them. Every year, we average between 800 and 1,000 pairs. So it is quite a big event for our area, and so I'd appreciate if anyone would like to drop those off, let us know. Check our hours, and we will get those donations. And we super appreciate the community that does that. So, and that's all I want to go with. Thanks.
Thanks, Josh. Jeff? Nada? Brooke?
I'll just say something kind of fun. So after our last board meeting, I received a text from someone who was just stating their opinions about the calendar, but this is kind of something fun that they included. So they said she said, the girls loved the Liberty Peak presentation we watched while we ate dinner. Haha, it's an awesome program and I wish we could implement it at Mountain View or Flagview. They were actually interested in the meeting as a whole. We had some good conversation about what a school board is and how the school district all works to make decisions. Just a funny moment of parenting that I didn't anticipate over pizza night. And so anyways, I think it's fun. Sometimes I don't think very many people watch this, but apparently some little girls did last board meeting and learned a thing or two, so.
Thank you. Skylar, did I give you enough time? All right, great. It's all you.
I'd like to thank you guys once again for inviting me and accepting me here. I guess I'll just give an update about what we're doing in the Student Council and National Honor Society. Right now we have our juniors working on prom, which occurs in May, every year, the end of May. The rest of the class is working on decorating the entrance into the gym for the Elko and Spring Creek game tomorrow. And we're covering that with a bunch of posters for, I guess, school spirit, I guess, even though it's kind of rivalry, but what you gonna do? And tomorrow we have, for National Honor Society, we have a bake sale going on. So if you end up going, it'd be nice for some support for that. And I appreciate being here. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much, Scott. Appreciate it. A couple of quick things, and then we'll move on. First, for the community, school calendars was a big thing 2 weeks ago. Don't worry, we haven't just ignored it. Our collective bargaining units are still conducting their votes, and that should end soon. We will anticipate having that at our next meeting. So just so the community is aware of that. And so that the board and community as well as staff are aware at the next meeting, because it didn't happen on this meeting because I wasn't thinking about it this far in advance. I am proposing that we cancel the March 4th board meeting. There are a number of us that will be traveling to Carson City for the legislature, the day at the legislature as we advocate for Elko County School District. So that may be something, or that's something that I'm going to be putting on the agenda. So just giving everybody a heads up. We're not going to discuss or deliberate that tonight, but wanted to give everybody a heads up on that. So again, thank you very much to all of the hard work that went into the Owyhee School. I'm excited that it's moving forward. And thank you again to those members of our staff that this evening moved one step closer to retirement. With that, we will go to 6.01
Mr. Chair?
approval. Yeah. Oh, geez, Louise. Teresa, you're not in front of me.
That's all right.
It's all you.
I just wanted to say I've had, quite a bit of feedback about the school calendars. And one of the things I have actually had come up from quite a few people is that because we have, so many extra days / minutes, that there are a lot of people requesting we shorten the school day a little bit or substantially from some people. And that especially at the elementary level. So I'm just throwing that out there that I've received a lot of input that people would like to see the school day shortened because we have so many extra minutes over the state requirement.
Thank you, Teresa. And again, I am so sorry. Here I am trying to, told you at the beginning, I wouldn't, I'd give you more time and then I just completely ignored you at the end.
I am not offended, Matt. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, now we will move to 6.01, approval of the accounts payable. This is for possible action. I would suggest that we take this in 3 different chunks, please.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Board Docs 2.04.025.
Second.
All right, there's an approval, a motion to approve the big chunk of accounts payables. Disclosures?
I have to disclose that I work for Lone Wolf, so I'll be abstaining from voting.
I have to disclose that I have a family member who works for Wells Rural Electric, but I will not be abstaining from voting.
And I also will disclose that I have a family member employed by Wells Rural Electric, but I will not be abstaining as either.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Motion passes.
Make another motion. Should have combined these, but I'd like to make a
Actually, we
motion.
can combine them.
Combine these two.
Yep.
So I'd like to make a motion to combine the board member Stanfill and the board member Dastrup. Together, we approve those.
So that's me. I'll be abstaining from voting.
And I will also be abstaining because that is reimbursement for training. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the second, Jeff. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Motion passes. 7.01 is input from public. Final opportunity. All right. Thank you all for being here. For those that traveled from Owyhee and joined us remotely, we appreciate that. And thank you very much to our newly elected Elko City Councilwoman for joining us as well. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.